Last night, Checkpoint interviewed Alistair McClymont, the lawyer acting for some of the 150 Indian students facing deportation. Amongst what Mr McClymont revealed was that an immigration advisor working in Punjab was granted a licence by the New Zealand Immigration Advisors Authority, despite having been named as a document fraudster by Immigration New Zealand. Checkpoint tried to contact Vinod Kumar Sharma yesterday to ask him about the two alleged education loan frauds. He did not return our calls, but has since told our colleague Phil Pennington they were just mistakes. Catherine Albiston is the Registrar of Immigration Advisors and head of the authority. She's the Registrar of Immigration Advisors and the head of the authority. This afternoon she came into the studio and I asked her if she had confidence in the man they'd licensed, Mr Sharma.
So based on the information that we had at the time, that was the correct decision that was made. And I will point out that he is now bound by the Licensed Immigration Advisors Code of Conduct. He needs to be held to very high standards now that he is a licensed advisor.
Right, you say based on the information you had at the time, there was an Information New Zealand No Surprises document that came out of Mumbai in February saying, and I quote, Kiwi Studies, Vinod Sharma, which is India's top exempt agent, so this guy's big business, has been using this fraud with 2 hits this week. Did IAA know about that?
We didn't have that information.
Why not? Why aren't you talking to Immigration New Zealand before you licence these people?
So we do have good information exchange with Immigration New Zealand. We do have protocols in place around that, and they do make complaints to us, for example, about licensed advisors.
But in this case, nothing.
But in this case, we didn't have that information. Now, he wasn't licensed at the time.
But he's been licensed since then, right? And this information is very much on the record, and this is an Immigration New Zealand document. So the question that I'm struck by is, yesterday we had the Minister in here saying the buck stops with the students, right? And if they get to New Zealand, they pay their fees, they get flats, they set up lives here, and if there is fraudulent documents, they're chucked out of the country. So, caveat emptor, what they're going to go and do is go and find agents that have been licensed by you guys. Because, boy, that is a big stamp of approval. Are you licensing fraudsters?
Look, if the information that's been provided to us is incorrect, if he's misrepresented himself to us, or if anyone misrepresents themselves to us, that's very serious. We will be looking into it, and we are looking into this situation. We do take fraud very seriously. It is not acceptable for licensed advisors, and so any information that comes to light about this, we will be looking into. We are looking into. Yeah.
In the meantime, of course, he is up there operating as an agent, sending young people to New Zealand. One hopes, one assumes, let's give him the benefit of the doubt with the right papers, but there is clear evidence that hasn't always been the case. Do you need to suspend his licence while you investigate whether he is the character he told you he was?
So I can't go into the details of that, but we are looking into it, and we will take the appropriate action that we can take.
Roughly 150 students are being chucked out of New Zealand. They used agents, and the more I look at this, the more difficult it is to find out who are the goodies and who are the baddies, who are the agents they can trust and New Zealand can trust. Isn't it your job to get that right?
Yes, it is, and it's a huge challenge. So we've got a robust entry qualification for licensed advisors. We've improved on that. We've got a 1-year qualification now that they need to do, and we are working to improve awareness that if you do use a licensed advisor, there are protections in place. So if someone uses a licensed advisor and something goes wrong, then they can be held to account. The advisor
Would they be chucked out of New Zealand if they used a licensed advisor and it turns out they've been providing fraudulent documents? Would the student be chucked out of New Zealand in those circumstances?
I can't answer that question. That's an Immigration New Zealand question.
Except that the buck always seems to stop with the student, doesn't it?
Well, if the advisor is licensed, then they have responsibility. So they can lose their licence, they can face severe penalties, they can face up to a $10,000 fine, they can be required to refund students whatever they've paid, they can be required to pay compensation to students. And so there are protections in place if someone uses a licensed advisor.
Do you think Mr Sharma or Mr Kumar, under which name he is licensed, has been providing fraudulent documents? Because certainly Immigration New Zealand does think that, they do say that, and if so, should he have received this licence?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to comment on that. I don't know the answer to that at this point. So all I can say is that he is licensed now, and he needs to meet the standards of a licensed advisor, which means there is zero tolerance for fraud for any applications that he is involved in now.
And students who've come here who may have used his services and may have provided fraudulent documents, should they be booted out of New Zealand if the fraudulent documents are found, if they've come from Mr. Kumar/Sharma?
So that's not a question I can answer. I'm sorry.
It's just this is IAA's job, isn't it? And 150 students are about to be chucked out of the country, and the minister's saying, "Hey, you provided the documents." If you go to a guy licensed by you guys, shouldn't that afford them some measure of protection?
Yes, and it does.
Catherine Alberston, who is the Registrar of Immigration Advisors and head of the authority.